Hey, my friend, welcome. Hey, my name is Josh. If you're a home service business owner or a contractor, you're stuck in the $500,000-$600,000 range, you want to make more money, you're not a bad person, you're in for a huge treat. Luckily for me, I have the privilege to sit down with Mr. Drew Cope, all the way from Pennsylvania. He's figured a lot of things out, and I'll warn you, his brain moves real fast, and he has all kinds of hacks and tricks and things that can make you more money, save you time, and help you have a better business. Drew, how are you?
Doing great, Josh. Glad to be here in Texas with you. Beautiful weather you got down here. I love this.
Yeah, Texas is its own country, I think, actually. But that's a different conversation. Tell me about this contractor thing, because a lot of people that we see, they're just feeling stuck.
Right.
Economically, some things are weird. Inflation's weird. What do you see as some of the couple biggest problems people are facing right now?
A lot of times on people I'm talking to, there's two challenges. Either the phone is not ringing anywhere near enough. They don't have enough leads coming in the door. They're wondering where their work's going to come from next week. They're not sure if they're going to have enough work for their team. Or the opposite problem, the phone is ringing like crazy. They've got lots of leads coming in the door, and they can't figure out how to staff to have enough guys and teams and trucks out there to get everything done and keep the customers happy without making them wait too long. And there's actually a way to leverage some of that, but it can make you pull your hair out and keep you awake at night.
Yeah, you've been in this industry for how long now?
Over 2 decades.
And what services, your core company does? What are they?
So our claim to fame is we're a residential remodel renovation, roofing, siding, windows, doors, decks, kitchens, bathrooms, basements, plumbing, electrical, drywall, spackle, paint.
That's a lot of stuff.
There's a lot of stuff. There's nothing we don't do. My claim to fame is I like to solve problems for customers. A lot of times that's exterior water leaks that nobody else can figure out. We're really good at doing that. We've got a great roofing program and a good team of subcontractors and partners that we work with.
Well, one of the things that really connected me to you and why I wanted to have you come in was the way you and your wife use your business almost is like ministry, and it's a vehicle, and you have a heart to serve people and help people, even a lot of other business owners that you help and mentor and things. What would you say to someone who feels stuck, they want to get unstuck, they have one of those problems that you're talking about? Where should they even start?
Well, I think my biggest challenge that we had, we were probably 9 years into the business before I bought my first truck. The first 3 years in business, it was just her and I. We burned through, $40,000 in savings. We went up being $30,000 in credit card debt pretty much every winter, just trying to get through. And then I had a little bit of coaching, and I got this little epiphany that in 31 and a half hours, I made an extra $80,000 the following year. Because I got a little bit of coaching.
Do you want to expand on that? What changed?
It was a neat audio brain training program that just kind of was talking about business. It was affirmation based, and I listened to it every day, 30 minutes a day, 7 days a week for 9 weeks, and there was 9 different lessons in that program. On the third week into it, I got the genius idea to hire my first employee and who I was going to look for and exactly what that avatar was. And it took me 6 months of sharing that avatar with a bunch of different people to find that perfect person who was with me for 10 years. And the 7th week, I got this genius idea to go skydiving. Now, how does skydiving have to do anything with running a construction company?
Yeah, tell us more.
When you've overcome your fear to jump out of a perfectly good aircraft and you experience the 7-hour adrenaline rush the rest of that day after you landed, there's not a customer being mad at you that ever makes you afraid again. And just having that little thing, and that was, 3 years in, great. We hire our first employee. He turns out to be just absolutely phenomenal for us as a business and kind of the kickstart of our growth. But I waited 9 years to buy trucks and wrap them and brand and do. If I had gotten a little bit of coaching in those first year, 2 years, 3 years that I had been in business, we could have shortcutted that whole process, and I would have been millions of dollars further ahead than where I wound up being.
So good. I heard Tony Robbins one time say, people say, after a decade, I finally changed. But he said the truth is all change happens in a moment, but it sometimes takes a decade to get to the moment. So when you did decide to, invest in yourself, your mindset, all these things that seem unrelated to business, but they're the real, that's where all the real gold is. What changed that caused you to want to make that investment even though you didn't for so long before?
I think what it was I got tired of, we'd made the phone ring. We'd put some strategy in place with some of our Facebook stuff that we do, and I had the phone ringing. We were getting 40 to 80 calls a month, and that was phenomenal. But I was stressed out, going out and basically tap dancing for free for all of these customers, and a lot of them turned out to just be HGTV enthusiasts who wanted to see how much XYZ renovation was going to cost at their house, but they had no desire to actually, go forward with that. And so we were wasting a ton of time. And if there's one part of my business that I don't enjoy, it really is the estimate writing. I want to hire a salesperson. I want to hire someone who's going to handle that piece. And when we had that when we'd grown the business, we'd grown the inbound leads, we had the phone ringing, and I was doing all of this work, and none of it was, we weren't getting any fruit out of it. that's when I started to have to ask for help.
Tap dancing for free. What exactly do you mean by that?
Well, so a customer calls you up and they say, hey, we want to finish our basement. We want to do X, Y, Z. Can you come out and give us a quote? And I was stupid. Maybe you can identify with this. I didn't ask a ton of pre-qualification questions. I know to do that now. I help people learn how to do that now. But I would just go out. I didn't ask them the size of the basement. I didn't ask them what they wanted to have involved with it. I wasn't, getting any kind of how quickly do you want it done? What's motivating you to do this? None of those normal pre-qualification questions that you should do.
What's your budget? Do you have a budget?
Right.
Are you totally destitute and poor?
And I come up with they give me the list. They want the bathroom. They want the theater room. They want all this stuff. It's $140,000 worth of improvements they want in their basement. And I draw this whole thing up, get pictures of everything, put it all together, and then they tell me they have a $25,000 budget. And I've wasted all that time. And what if I had just either asked for that on the front end?
So you started charging for those estimates.
We did. And instead of doing the whole tap dance for free for somebody, we would go out and we start out with, they call up and say, great, tell us about your project. We created a list of pre-qualification questions. And then as we get through that, we say, great, send us some photos. And then once we got the photos, then I could get on the phone. My sales team, my production staff, my secretary, whoever could do those kind of preliminary stuff. They get the photos, and then I can have a 15-minute phone call with that homeowner, look at their photos, listen to their wish list, see what the information is we collected, and say, okay, I think ballpark order of magnitude, this is going to cost X, Y, Z to do. How much, minimum, no less than. How much are you interested in spending to create this transformation that you're looking for in your basement? And then we got to have a real sit-down conversation, and if they didn't know or if they couldn't come up with a number, if I said, hey, it's 50, what do you want to spend? They didn't know. We have some techniques that we can use to kind of help them gauge and figure out what those numbers are. And then it's great, if you want us to come out for the scope of work, for the amount of time we're going to have, for the payroll expense involved in preparing your quote, there's a proposal fee of, and that could have been anywhere from $185 to $495 to just offset some of the time that me and my guy were going to spend thinking through A, B, C, every step of this project, every screw, nail, and board that it was going to cost to do this for this customer and get design ideas and get samples and put all that in a nice, pretty package and deliver it to them. There's a cost for that. And when we started charging, it drastically reduced the number of on-site appointments I had to do, and it dramatically increased my close ratio. For the ones that I went out to, they actually hired us.
Right. Makes sense to me.
You're going from 40 to 80 sales calls a month to maybe I run 10, I run 15, and they're all closing. Or they're
whenever you
closing.
can reduce complexity and increase profit, that's a good thing.
Right.
Right? Some people might say, well, that's good for you, Drew, but you're just built different. Your brain moves fast. You're analytical. I think you started your first company when you were 12 years old or something.
Yep.
You're an Eagle Scout. You're a college graduate. Can other regular people that aren't as cool as you achieve success like you have? And if so, how?
Oh, 100%. And it's funny, as cool as me, that's funny because I was the nerd and the geek and the kid that everybody picked on in middle school. So, if you think I'm cool now, okay, great. Well, you should have seen where I came from because I was one of those, kids that everybody picked on growing up. Yeah, anybody can do this. It really was, and again, it comes down to some coaching. If I had just had my second year in business, if someone had taught me how to pre-qualify, if I had, now we have YouTube, we probably didn't have that as extensively when I was my second year in business, but if someone had taught me how to pre-qualify, I'd watched a video or two on some of these sales questions that we should ask. Wow, just follow the script, ask these questions. And the beautiful thing, entrepreneurs, we wear how many hats? 30, 35 hats, depending how you slice it. Mm-hmm. And when you can start to hire somebody, even if it's, a high school or college kid, just to answer the phone, and you can give them, oh, it's a bathroom. Let's flip to that page in the binder. Let's go through the list of questions for the bathroom. Have them ask those questions and get those pictures before I ever have to take my time. If you're the entrepreneur, your time is valuable. You can't be answering every phone call. You need to hire people to take some of those little things off your plate. They saved me, I can't even imagine how many hours a year by doing the pre-qualification, doing the phone calls, getting the picture, and then I only got on the phone with the people who actually sent in photos, which was maybe 30% or 40% of the inbound calls. I screened through all the losers, and I got to be serious with the customers who actually wanted to hire us.
What was it like on the family side for you guys when you were figuring all this out? Right? Because it's frustrating. It's super hard. Marriage is hard on its own and business is hard. I think a lot of people, even as they eventually have success in business, they kind of do it at the expense of their family. being that you have a heart for missions and stuff, I don't know, like what's your take on that whole thing? Or what would you say to someone that's watching this that they need to figure these things out that you're talking about, but they also need to not neglect their family at the same time?
Yep.
What do you have to say to them?
Well, I think there's a lot of pieces that go into this. When you go from having $40,000 in the bank to being 30 grand in the hole or the winter, you start to wonder if your wife's losing respect for you. You start to wonder if what's going on in her view of you as the husband of the man who's supposed to be providing for the house. We lived in a 1,000 square foot ranch was our starter house, and we were having construction materials like taking over our living room. There was no place for my wife to relax, to do puzzles, to watch TV, because I had sheets of plywood behind the couch. At what point does that have to change? And where do we have to get to in our businesses where we say enough is enough, we got to do something different, and we've got to get out of this hole that we're in?
Why do you think so many people want to just go it alone? Or sometimes people are like averse to being in a mastermind group or getting coaching or whatever. What do you think's holding them back, or what held you back before you did it? And what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think one of the objections or concerns that folks have is, man, if I'm going to spend X, Y, Z dollars to go join this mastermind group, how is that going to? They're saying I'm already $10,000 in the hole in the credit cards or whatever the number is that causes a pit in your stomach. Me spending this, whatever that dollar amount is, to join a mastermind, to get coaching, to do those things, how is that ever going to turn things around for me? And the first audio program that I bought, there was $1,000, and the guy said, if this doesn't return you at least 50 times over what you spent on it in the next calendar year, I'll give you your money back. I'm like, okay, sure. The following year, I got the genius idea to hire a guy, made an extra $80,000 in gross sales that year. I felt very, very good about that decision, and overcoming the fear factor with the skydiving piece, I became much more invincible when it came to, oh my gosh, a customer's mad at me, which used to tear me apart inside. Did not like that feeling of someone feeling like I'd let them down or I'd taken their money or hadn't delivered what we had promised them. And a lot of times it was just customers being stupid, and we all know that happens in this industry. Yeah. But those two pieces really changed for me, and that was one of the best $1,000 I ever spent, and I wish I'd done it sooner.
Yeah, because if you think about it, tell me if you agree, but the success financially in a business is not a thing. The success is a byproduct of a thing. What I mean is if you change and you up-level yourself, if your belief goes up, if your certainty and your confidence goes up, success kind of automatically starts to happen at a larger scale, right? And so when you're describing this audio program, I'm very interested in that. Your thoughts started to change, which means your feelings started to change, which means your actions started to change, and then your bank account and your results changed. Is that a fair assessment?
100%. I mean, the idea of hiring an employee prior to getting a little bit of coaching was very like, A, how would I find them? How would I make sure they were good? How would I screen to make sure they weren't going to be a total problem child? Then we got payroll and we got workers' comp and we have all these headaches. And the thing about doing that, getting the coaching was, no, you can do this. You can figure this out. This is no different than solving a water leak problem for a customer. It's just a slightly different take on the same thing. It just kind of gave me the confidence to go forward with that. And as we started taking hats off and say, okay, I've created this avatar for this hammer swinger that I need to hire to help on that side of it. Then it was, man, what if we had somebody else to help my wife? Because she was working, when we first started, it was the two of us, 8 hours a day on the job site, and then she did 3 hours of bookkeeping, and I did 3 hours of marketing. And when we got her into the office, eventually she started to get overwhelmed trying to keep up with QuickBooks, and she couldn't be answering the phone. It's like, what if we hired someone to take X, Y, and Z off of Tracy's plate? And just getting our brain around what that would look like, all of a sudden my wife is happier, our marriage is better. We're going to leave it there. Everything is better because we weren't stressed out. And yes, we know we like doing life together, and we enjoyed doing everything together. And there comes a point in the business where, man, that's starting to carry over. The stress of the business is starting to carry over, and we got to take off some of these hats. And it's scary to do that because nobody can do it as good as I can. Don't we all say that? Every one of us says that, right? Nobody can do it as well as. But at some point, I started with the things that I hated. I hated estimating. How do I get that off of my plate? How do I get someone else to get on the Lowe's website and figure out the pricing of all the materials and count the beans and do all the stuff? I can write down the list of stuff, but I want someone else to figure out the math. Do less of what you hate, more of what you love. How do I hire out the things that I hate to do?
So what are some other ideas that really anyone that's watching this can just take action on that would create a result for them financially? Like, when you've looked under the hood of other businesses, what's missing? What are they doing wrong? You've talked about, hiring someone that you've been putting off. That's leverage. That's a big move. What about on the marketing side or on the financial side? Or what have you learned over all the years that produces a big result that people currently aren't doing?
The number one thing that makes everything else in your business easier or unnecessary is more leads than time. When you have more leads than time, everything that you're doing gets simpler. you've got a longer pipeline, you've got a little bit of waiting list, you can charge a little bit higher prices and tell customers they're going to have to wait a little bit longer, and then only the ones who are really serious about working with you are going to stick around, which is really what you want, because you get rid of a lot of the people that are more tire kickers or are not as committed to hiring your company, my company. So for me, getting the more leads and time in the door is critical. And how do we do that? Marketing and branding and creating a really unified, dominant message where you are ubiquitous, you are everywhere. The community, I mean, you just dominate the local marketplace for your service, your industry. That we became one of the most respected providers, most well-known providers in our region for home improvement services because of the unification of our branding, that everything looked the same, from the colors to the fonts to the, and that's technical and stuff, but you can get people to help with that. And how do you make all of that so consistent that people see you and they instantly recognize and know? Like, I'm in the grocery store and somebody comes up to me and says, "Hey, I almost bought the t-shirt. You're Drew Cope from Facebook." And I don't know who they are, and we just make nice and we shake hands and we say hi, but they see me in the message boards and they see me giving free advice and they see me being helpful. And I think that's just one of the things, is to be that teacher, be that educator, be that coach, where you're just creating value for folks and not necessarily expecting something in return. And that built us such a phenomenal reputation that the phone just kept ringing.
It makes sense. I mean, give, ask, right?
Yep.
So, I mean, if someone is feeling like they don't have enough time, they're overworked, underpaid, what are they supposed to do exactly? Just stay up late, go on Facebook groups? Where would they start in terms of doing what you described?
So I created a little bit of a system, and it was two parts. One was the at my computer part of the system, where I've got bookmark groups that I can click a button and all my groups open up with all of my searches and all of the things that I'm looking for questions that I could respond to. When a homeowner says, "I'm looking for a contractor to do a bathroom," well, I can search for the word bathroom, and then you can save that as a bookmark, and they all come up. So that's the computer bookmark. The other one is the what I call the porcelain throne room marketing plan, where literally I'm just on my phone, whether my wife's driving and I'm sitting in the passenger seat doing marketing while we're going out to dinner or wherever we're going, or 5-10 minutes on the toilet, whatever it is. You can get in there and you can respond to a couple of things. You can give some free advice. You can post some links, or my favorite one, this is our deep secret bomb. You ready? This is the dirty bomb that you can drop on people. I want to get in there and just make the comment, "Hey, before you hire any contractor, any home cleaner, any driveway pressure washer, any contractor to do XYZ, you need to ask these 4 questions. Check out this link." And it was a link to my website, and it was the 4 things about how to screen them, make sure they're registered, make sure they have insurance, how to verify the insurance. And there was a video that went with these 4 things. And it was simple, it was easy, but it cast this doubt in their mind about every other contractor in our region. Wait, do they have these 4 things?
Right.
And, well, do I want to go try to research the 4 things, or do I just want to hire this guy because he shows right here that he has all this and gives me links to verify it all?
Yeah, you're planting seeds of doubt in their mind.
100%.
That's pretty ninja. That's savage, Drew. There's another thing I'd like you to expand on, a system that you built that helped generate, I think, over $3 million in sales. Is that what you're talking about with this, the Facebook? Or?
So there's sort of 6 steps to it, and we won't get all into it here, but it really is just about creating this persona that you are everywhere, that you give the perception that you're always available, you're always there, you're everywhere, that top of mind awareness. When they see your truck, they see your sign, they see your logo, they see your font, they recognize that it's you and who you are and your brand, and they realize, they see that story of who you are, and they realize that they want to be a part of that story. That they want to have your truck parked in their driveway and have their neighbors be jealous because your truck is parked in their driveway.
Okay, and you can do that even if you have a small company.
100%.
I remember a friend of mine, he only had one truck. He had a tree company, but he used this little vinyl sticker and he put it on his truck and he said, "Truck number 5."
Exactly.
And he put it on there. And what's interesting is people, even when I had a service company years ago, people come up and say, "I see your trucks everywhere." We had like 2 or something, right?
Yeah.
That does have an effect. And, if I would have known about the Facebook group stuff that you're doing, it would have been even more ubiquitous. What else is involved, though, with that system outside of that?
The first thing I did is at one point I bought 4 yard signs. But I didn't get the normal, like, Bandit, Coroplast signs that are out there. I got a diamond shaped with a rider underneath with a phone number, and I bought 4 of them, and it cost me a couple $100 to get these together. But they were so unique and they were so different looking that when I planted them in the yard, I got that exact same response. "Drew, I see your signs everywhere." And I'm like, "I only have 4. So that made a huge difference for us. But the Facebook thing is really get out there, make it look like you're everywhere, answer a whole bunch of questions for people, give a bunch of free advice, be that teacher, be the educator, and then have a system for consistently hitting those same mom groups over and over and over again. Mom groups, community groups, whatever it happens to be, and just get in there and constantly be interacting, that you're visible. And sometimes I go through, like on the business days, and I just like everybody else's posts so they see my name. I go for my business page and I go and I comment on other local businesses' pages so their fans see that Cope Construction commented on the YMCA's event or whatever it is. So it's just how many different ways in the pockets of my time while my wife's driving the car, I'm sitting on the toilet, can I be getting my name out there and just be loud and just be everywhere? It's not technical. In fact, I can have a high school intern do some of this stuff for us, and we have. So it's less on my plate. Our summers, I don't do very much Facebook marketing at all. I have young people that we've trained to do it for me.
A phrase you used that I thought was really interesting, if you could explain, is the phrase marketing terrorist. Which, that's a polarizing statement.
Absolutely.
But what do you mean by that? How does someone become a marketing terrorist?
Well, in my mind, it's just doing the simple little things that make a difference that your competition is unwilling to do or unable, I don't know why they're unable to do, but unwilling to do, and doing it so consistently over a period of time that it creates a brand story that your potential customers, your ideal clients can't help but want to be a part of. So easy, stupid example. I used to, when we first started, I gave one freebie away on every job that we did. I had a flooring company call me. The guy wanted 2 half walls taken out between the dining room and the living room so the flooring could go continuous, and there's an electrical outlet. He wanted them the floor. While I was there, I used the powder room, and I noticed that the door didn't lock because the strike plate wasn't where it needed to be. I went to my truck. I got a screwdriver. It took me 2 minutes to adjust this strike plate so that the door in the powder room would lock so you didn't feel like someone's going to walk in on you. And I left as part of finishing the job and we get out of there. I didn't tell the customer, didn't talk to the customer, didn't tell the flooring guy. I got a call 3 days later because the customer called the flooring guy and said, your contractor fixed this thing. He was so blown away that I had done this one little freebie thing, didn't say anything about it, didn't make a deal about it, didn't ask to get paid for it. I just did it. Now, some guys will say, oh, it's a liability. They could yell, whatever. We gave a freebie away on nearly every job and we didn't tell anybody about it. And that, in and of itself, created such a buzz. Like when someone would get in the Facebook group and say, you need to hire Drew Cope because X, Y, blah, 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 blah. That became a part of their story when my customers, my loyal tribe of raving fans, were promoting us on these Facebook groups. They were my little secret army. They were awesome.
That's ninja. It also makes it less about price with future projects, right? Because you're wowing and delighting and exceeding their expectations in these small ways. They're not just comparing your quote to someone else's quote, right? It makes you this different thing, correct?
Yeah, and at some point, you had to stop selling your time. We talk about charging for proposal visits instead of doing free estimates. But the other piece is to stop selling your time. Oh, I charge $20 an hour, $50 an hour, $140 an hour, $200 an hour, whatever that price point is. You can sell your time, but the customer starts nickel and diming and saying, well, yeah, but you spent too long in the bathroom or you did too many trips to the truck, or they start questioning the time if you're billing by the time and you're giving an estimate and then a bill at the end. So we flat rate, quote everything. Here's the price unless we run into a bona fide surprise. So there's no customer yelling about how much time we took or didn't take on something. How did you finish it that fast? You charged me that much. Here's the price for the transformation. Here's the price to create your desired outcome. You're not paying me by the hour. You're not paying me for my time. You're not paying me by the day. You're paying for the transformation that I'm going to provide for you. And when we started finding ways to communicate that value, profit margins completely changed.
Yeah, I mean, I'm curious, just to go back, what attracted you to this industry in the first place? I mean, why did you want a business? I think people start businesses for different reasons.
Right.
Sometimes they just hate their boss and say, I'm going to do my own thing. I don't know. What was it for you?
Well, I think there's a lot of us in the trades that, we were working for somebody else and we're just looking at how things are going and thinking, he's charging this, I'm getting paid that. I could make more money if I did this on the own. And they don't realize the 35 different hats that we have to wear as the entrepreneur, as the business owner, as the head of things. So I think a lot of guys get started that way. My wife and I have a slightly different story. We were working 9 to 5 youth mentoring jobs and felt like we were being led to get into foster care and to help foster teenagers who were going through a hard time in life. And kind of by accident, we had a young lady kind of dumped in our home, and she was with us for 2.5 months. And wow, that was a neat transformation, what we were to do to help her walk through her difficult life, her situation, what she was dealing with. Maybe we should do more of this, but we can't do it with a 9 to 5 job because we don't have the emotional energy and the time freedom.
Right.
Now, we had been part of that position. We had been doing free home repairs as a nonprofit for 225 different families over the course of about 8 years, work camp events. So we were running this nonprofit with some other people. I said, what if we took all this home repair experience and turned it into a for-profit company? Now, like everybody who starts in this trade, you're a nonprofit before you're a for-profit, and our first 3 years sucked. But we eventually kind of learned some things and figured some things out, and got to the point where, wow, this is actually starting to work, and we can hire and we can create jobs. And this is really over the last decade and a half that we've been in the for-profit side of this. We've fostered 4 teenagers who are now young adults, married, 3 of them, 2 of them with kids, all doing very, very well for themselves now. We had 20 to 30 just in on the weekends, Camp Cope. It's really been a mission-minded kind of life of contribution goal for my wife and I. And with having your own business, if you need to take a day off to go to court with the kid, to take them to a counseling appointment or whatever, I can schedule my customers the way I want. So I did it for the freedom. Mm-hmm. It just took us a couple of years to get there, and I wish I could have done it faster if I'd just gotten a little bit of coaching.
You called it Camp Cope?
Yeah.
Camp Cope. So if a child comes and stays with you, they're going to Camp Cope, right?
So we would do respite care. So we'd get them for the weekend. So if you're the foster parent and you and your wife have to go out of town to a wedding, you can't take the kid out of state, we're the glorified babysitters.
Okay.
Or you just need a break to spend time with your own kids. So you send the foster kids to us, and we try to make it not, oh, your foster parent needed a break from you. They get to hang out with us. We're going to go to a sporting game. We're going to go to the park. We're going to run with the dog. We're just going to try to make it a different, fun, not a run-of-the-mill while you're hanging out with us. So like we're intentionally pouring into those kids for the weekend. We got 36 hours with them or 48 hours with them, whatever it's going to be. Let's make sure that this is the coolest 2 days of their month.
Yeah. I want to go to Camp Cope. Now.
Right? Seriously. Come on, let's go.
Talk about, can we do nerdy stuff for a second?
I love nerding out.
Let's
go.
If someone wants to make more money,
right,
there's math involved.
100%.
You talk about an idea often called FRAP. Can you explain what that is, or how can someone watching use it to create more profit, I guess, for themselves?
So, and there's a baseline. You got to have some information. You got to know what your numbers are. You got to know your bidding jobs right to begin with. If you're bidding them to lose money, something's wrong. So fix the underlying level first. Once that you know that, okay, we're at least working, how can we increase the frequency at which a customer hires us? Can we get them to hire us more often? If you're an annual service, a window cleaner, a gutter cleaning company, a pressure washing company, can you get them to hire you in more frequently, more times per year? So increase the frequency. Can we get them to hire 10% of them to hire us more often? Can we increase the number of referrals that those people give to us? Where you finish a job and there's a system whereby we're able to ask that customer for a referral to some neighbors, or, hey, would you shout us out in the message boards, or whatever the case may be. And then maybe there's something that you're doing to get some more 5-star reviews. Hey, by the way, if you mention my guys by name, we give them a little bonus in their check. You help them out. Would you mind doing that for us? And I gave our guys a script they could use to do that. So frequencies, referrals, increase their average ticket price. So, where can we raise the prices on things? Where can we upsell, cross-sell? Hey, while I'm here pressure washing this, can I also come over here and take care of this other piece for you? Or, hey, and while I was doing the walk around your house to take a look at this bathroom, I noticed that you got this drywall tape seam over here that's damaged, so there's other piece over here. Would you like us to take care of these other people? And you find ways to, would you like fries with that? Is there a way that we can increase that average ticket? And then the P is price. Just overall increasing, hey, let's just raise your prices 10%. What if you start to try, especially in your busy season? Can we do some seasonal pricing? Like, in my industry, the spring is nuts. Everybody wants their decks. Everybody wants their stuff. How do we, in that busiest season, hey, we're booked out 3 months. And then can we offer some cool things like we'll put you to the front of the line for an extra premium of X. And there's a choreographed way that you present that. But there's a fast pass, basically. So 4 different ways that you can, and if you raise all those by 10 or 15%, it's not unlikely that you could double your profits.
Wow. If you were going to look into the camera and just speak into the soul of a typical business owner, parts of the business are good, parts of it aren't, they don't know what to do, what would you say to them to speak life into them, give them hope? How would you encourage them? Would you be optimistic economically? Are you pessimistic? Speak to the heart of an average business owner that can't quite break past that $500,000-$600,000 range.
Somebody once said that you make your own luck. Somebody else said you can't read the label from inside the box. And sometimes it helps to have an outside perspective, somebody you can bounce ideas off of, to take a look at where you're at in the business and kind of give some honest feedback and ask a bunch of questions to help you dig deeper. A lot of times we're so deep in what we're doing that we don't have time to really think through what's going on, how do I grow this, where are my bottlenecks, how can I clean up those bottlenecks, and just taking some time away to say, I'm going to either spend a weekend and figure this out by myself, or I'm going to hire someone to spend some time coaching with me and asking me some really good questions so I can dig into where we're at with our business. That 1 conversation, 2 conversations, getting a part of a program, joining a mastermind could absolutely transform what you're doing with your business, which could transform what's going on at home with your wife, with your kids, and everything in life gets easier, and more amazing. And you'll never, never, never regret investing in yourself.
That's fire, man. What are life of contribution goals? Is that what you call it?
When I recorded videos, when Facebook Live first came out, I jumped on that bandwagon and just had a lot of fun with it. And it's nerve-wracking at first, right? You're kind of scared to be in front of the camera, but I just started goofing off with it. And I wanted an outro. The big guys on YouTube, they always have their fancy thing they do at the end.
Yeah.
So my outro was dream big, dream bigger. And that was good. And then we kind of added to it, dream big, dream bigger, and make life more epic. I love doing things with epic movie theme songs. So I'm driving down the road listening to something. We're on a cruise ship, and I'm listening to Pirates of the Caribbean because it just makes life more epic. That's it, exactly.
Yeah.
So I would end my videos with dream big, dream bigger, make life more epic. And then we added, get out there and live a life of contribution as you are in search of adventure. And the life of contribution was going back to Tracy and I in the foster care and taking care of our kids and figuring out what your mission, mandate, purpose, calling, assignment is on this rock. Why are you here? Can I say this? What did God call you to do? Why did he put you here on this rock? What are you doing 80 revolutions around the sun? How are you making a difference? How is this world going to be a better place when you're done? And the home service business is good, and we're doing things to take great care of our clients, but it's creating a way for you to do some awesome things with your family. But when all of that is done and you've got more money in the bank than you could spend every weekend on the beach, but that's going to get old. So what is it that's going to be fulfilling for you, meaningful, and is going to make a difference and it's going to last long after you and I are both gone from this planet? So figuring out what that life of contribution goal is, what it is that you've been called to do, what your mission, mandate, purpose, and assignment is. And then the other piece that, as I say, in search of adventure, my wife and I want to have amazing adventures. So we've got a year-long calendar on the wall. We actually have 5 of them, one for each of the next 5 years. And we've put the big rocks in first. We know where the vacations are. We know where we're going. We've got a system for vacationing, believe that or not. There's a system for that makes sure that she and I get that time together that we need to relax, to recharge, so that we can be everything we need to be in our business, and more importantly, we can be everything we need to be with our kids.
I think most people watching want to have a system for vacation, at least theoretically. And you just spent several weeks in the Cayman Islands, I think, before you came here with me.
Absolutely.
Why are you able to do that now, but it wasn't a possibility in the beginning?
It was a decision. I mean, on one hand, money is always going to be tight, is what we used to say, right? But what if you just said, you know what, we're going to commit to this regardless of the money. We're going to commit to make this happen. We're going to put this in first, and we're going to find a way to find the money. And putting that intentionality out there of we're going to do a 2-week cruise every February. We're going on the same ship, the same cruise line, and we don't even really care what islands we hit because it's just us being together on the cruise ship where the meals are taken care of, the beds are taken care of, and we just show up and have fun. And then we go to the same place in the Cayman Islands every November for 2 or 3 weeks. We know the rental car company we use. We know the place that we stay. We know where we're going to buy groceries. And it's just a system. So we can just show up, relax, and enjoy. And we made that commitment, that decision that we're going to find a way to do this. And when we did, the house showed up.
How are you the way that you are? Who taught you to think like this?
I'm going to blame my parents. Mom and Dad were into Amway when I was 3.
Okay.
So I would sit in my dad's basement office, and he would make sales calls for the company that he worked for, and also, the Amway stuff. And he was listening to the Jim Rohns and the Zig Ziglars and all the cassette tapes, right? So Dad said a couple of things to me. You can do anything you put your mind to. If you want something bad enough, you'll find a way. If not, you'll find an excuse. You can do all things through Christ. That was 1. Your words create your world. Speak things into existence. Be careful what you say because you're programming your brain every second of the day. And if you say, well, I'm not very good at that, and you could just change that and say, well, I'm not very good at that yet, and just adding that yet changes the whole thing. I was talking to a friend. I got to go to the bank today after work and do this. I got to deposit some checks. I said, whoa. You don't have to go to the bank. Dude, you get to go to the bank to deposit those checks because you made money. Because you start despising money, money's going to despise you. So I had some good upbringing from my parents, and there's some other copisms that we talk about and things that Dad taught us over and over again. But that's sort of the start of it. There was a guy I went to a 4-year college, and the one thing that I remember from this $80,000 in education was not in a classroom, was not in a book. It was me and the president of the college, Dr. David Black, walking from the library over to McGinnis for the dining hall. And he said, Drew, the most effective people I know live their lives 18 months out. And that stuck with me. And then I heard a guy named Dr. Mike Murdoch say, you are responsible for your own inspiration, and you are responsible for scheduling your pleasure, because pain has a way of scheduling itself.
So true.
And that sort of inspired, as part of Tracy and I's start to our vacation system, was we wanted to schedule our pleasure. We don't know how much time we have on this planet. We don't know, what freak car accident could happen next week. Let's make sure that we're not putting off those things that are most important.
Drew, in your mind, what's the difference between, I don't know, doing it yourself, self-help books, these things are valuable, versus actually doing like a full-blown coaching or mentorship or mastermind?
Absolutely. I think we've all bought courses. And how many times do those courses that we buy or the seminars that we attend, we take all these notes, we do all the things, and then it just becomes what I call shelf help.
Shelf help?
It sits on the bookshelf, and you never look at it again.
That's true.
If you get involved with some of the coaching that we're doing and some of the things that I feel are important in a coaching relationship with someone, is you've got to have that accountability in the implementation side. That it's not just, hey, go watch these 5 videos and learn these different principles and ideas, but that there's somebody who's holding you accountable, that you're meeting with on every other week, once a month, twice a month, whatever the basis is, however frequently that is asking you questions, that is answering questions for you, that is helping you on that implementation side and holding you accountable to your stated goals. I'm not going to twist your arm and try to make you do anything you don't want to do. My coaches didn't twist my arms to make me do anything I didn't want to do, but they just said, Drew, you said that your goal was to do X. And if that's important to you, then you need to be doing these other 3 things here. How far did you get with those goals this week?
Right.
Oh, I did. I
itself
crushed this one. I got this one out of the park. I didn't do so well in the other. Okay, great. What got in the way of you doing those other 2 things? And just walking through that process of asking. We all know that we can do this. We all know we should do this, but do we? And the difference with hiring a coach is you get that accountability partner to sort of hold your hand and walk you through and make sure that you're doing the steps that are going to help you reach your goals.
Yeah, because even if you imperfectly implement some of your intentions, it's so valuable,
right.
But knowing lots of stuff in which none of it's implemented has no value.
My dad used to say a lot of times, I would come up to him and say, Dad, we've got this problem, the tractor, the lawnmower, the thing, whatever. And he would always cut me off. He'd say, Drew, we're copes. We don't have problems. We have challenges and opportunities. And he would reframe that situation. I think you probably heard Simon Sinek say the thing when they interviewed the Olympic athletes. Were you nervous? No, we were excited. Sweaty palms, rapid heartbeat, same physiological response, but 2 different values
frames
ascribed to it, 2 different frames. And so sometimes it's just helpful. You can't read the label from inside the box. Having your coach ask you those questions. We're not putting a guilt trip on you. We're just asking you, what's going on with this and how can we help and what got in the way and what do you think you could do next week to help keep those same things from getting in the way again. It's easy to lie to ourselves. It's a little bit harder to lie to a coach that you're paying to be there to help hold you accountable. And the little bit of money that you spend on coaching, in my experience, has returned tenfold the investment easily, if not more.
Yeah, especially over the course of your whole life.
100%.
Wow. Okay. Well, as we get ready to, land the plane here, I mean, what are your final thoughts, opinions, beliefs, or message that you want to speak to someone that just needs help? They want community. They want to make more money. Mm-hmm. What would you say to them as we get ready to sign off?
I'm going to tell you the same thing my dad told me. You can do anything you put your mind to. If you want this bad enough, you will find a way. If not, you'll find an excuse. So what is it that you want? And get very, very, very clear on that. And when that goal, that mission, that idea, that one singular, this is the thing, and then figure out why you want that. Well, I want it because I want the money, I want the time freedom. Okay. Well, is it that, or is it because you want the improved relationship with your wife? And is it that, or is it because you want those life of contribution goals? And dig down to the meat of it. When you know what it is that you want, and you know why you want it, and you've answered those questions, and you've done the soul searching that needs to happen in order to do that, everything else in your business becomes easier.
I've enjoyed this thoroughly. Look, if you want to connect with Drew, I'm sure there maybe will be buttons around here in ways that you can do that. But I just want to thank you for coming all the way from Pennsylvania to Warplan Studios to sit down with us. If you're a small business owner, keep fighting the good fight. Mm-hmm. Like, we're your biggest fan. We're rooting for you. And until next time, take care. God bless.